Hey everyone, this is Dr. Eric Fields. I am a psychologist specializing in gambling addiction. If you're struggling with compulsive gambling, the first question I want you to ask yourself is, if I wasn't gambling, what would I be doing? Compulsive gambling takes up so much time, not just the time spent gambling, but the time spent obsessing about the bets that you're going to place, the research that's involved, and reeling from the negative effects and consequences of gambling, the depression, the anxiety, the time spent trying to come up with a financial plan or to try to offset some of your debt. It just is so time consuming. And ironically, that is the biggest draw for most people who have a gambling addiction, is that it's so time consuming. And so you might be a bit perplexed by that statement. Why would somebody want to waste or squander so much of time? And as human beings, we only have so much time on this earth, right? So to squander it almost intentionally, it doesn't make any sense. And a lot of behaviors that we do as human beings are influenced by our unconscious drives, wants, needs, etc. And so one of the most prevalent needs that someone has with a gambling addiction is to avoid. They want to avoid and they want to distract. And time wasted on gambling is looked upon at an unconscious level, of course, as being better than time spent facing your fears or dealing with your worries or insecurities. A lot of people that have gambling addiction are avoiding the work that they know they need to do to get to that next level, whatever that might be. For a lot of people who compulsively gamble, the big area is the career. And a lot of people with gambling addiction, I can tell you, are not very fulfilled in their career, either because it's not the right career for them, or it's the right career, but it's not the right company or organization or job, or it's the right career and organization, but they are avoiding doing the work that it will take for them to get to that next level. And again, the likely culprit is fear. If I don't put myself out there, if I don't try to get to that next level, I won't ever find out that I'm just not good enough or I'm just not, built for that kind of success, right? If we don't try, we don't find out the answer. Now, of course, for a rational minded person, this doesn't make a whole lot of sense because when you look at all the damage that gambling does, especially with taking you away from working on important areas of your life, like your career, or other areas of life that you're avoiding, like trying to find the love of your life and create a family and all that. Again, the same premise. If I don't put myself out there, I won't have to find out the answer that I'm unlovable, right? Or no one's going to want me. Um, so, for a rational minded individual, this is, preventing people from living up to their potential, from really creating a fulfilling life. And it's causing so many issues that are going to really move them so much further away from that dream or that vision. But when you're talking about fear, it is such an uncomfortable emotion And certainly, fear of rejection or fear of not being good enough or lovable, or, you know, those fears are so intense for people that they will avoid them at all costs. And when I explain to people that this is behind so many people's gambling addiction, right? It really illuminates the issue here, because we can make a comparison to many other kinds of situations where people are avoiding because of fear, right? So, like, if we're not talking about gambling, but we're just talking about like an anxiety condition, right? About, different kinds of future oriented worries or things like that, then it's easier for people to kind of conceptualize that. It's like, oh, right, that kind of anxiety you don't want to deal with, you avoid. We understand it's irrational, but we also can see why people are going to want to avoid, anxiety provoking situations, right? If you have a fear of flying, right, it's understandable that you're going to avoid flying. And so it's only when I really start to elaborate on this concept with gambling addiction that suddenly people can now understand why people who compulsively gamble are willing to risk such consequences, because it is such an extreme fear that is often behind this addiction. I don't want to find out the answers to those questions, because those questions, if I ever found out, confirm my fears, right? That could be absolutely devastating. My existence and self worth as a person would be completely annihilated. And that is the way you have to really look at this. So what do? I help people face those fears and challenge those irrational, distorted beliefs, and really get people on track to going after their dreams and what they really, really want out of life and what's really going to fulfill them. And showing them that even if they fall short of their expectations, they are still going to be so much better off and more fulfilled than they are right now. If you want to learn more about how I help people with gambling addiction, or you have questions just in general about gambling addiction, especially if you have a loved one struggling with it, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. If you like this video, let me know, and I will, as always, have more to say about this at another time. Take care.